Holding Achilles is absolutely an epic show of mythic proportions. So the story pretty much begins with Patroclus and Achilles meeting each other for the first time and follows them through the idyllic days of their early life, learning underneath the centaur Chiron. But then very quickly, the Trojan War erupts, and these two young men are thrown into the epic violence and bloodshed of this enormous, almost global scale conflict for the time. And because of that, they're really forced to question what sort of mark they want to leave both on each other and on the world. So the start of the idea for Holding Achilles, it came from two things. First was that we very much wanted to tell a story which had queer heroes at the heart of it. And the second thing that we really wanted to do, again in continuing the way that a company reinvents classics, was to plant those queer heroes in the center of an otherwise very well-known story. When Nick and I first decided we were going to pursue this story and this work, it's literally asking for humans to be given godly abilities and given superhuman abilities. So we knew that there would be a strong physical theatre element that was needed in the work. And yeah, we approached Legs on the Wall because there's sort of no other company in the country really that gives humans superhuman abilities quite like Legs on the Wall do.
So this project is huge and it was really exciting for me to come on board. I have a background in costume making, so that was really helpful in the process. I was able to traditionally pattern make some of the puppets as well as the costume armour pieces. So our Big Bear is assembled out of 44 pieces, but it didn't start that way. It was 1 to 10 scale. So we started with a plasticine model, which was then pattern made. We then take that traditional pattern and convert it onto the computer to a digital pattern, which we can then scale up as much as we like. We can then send it to our laser cutter and cut all the pieces instead of doing it by hand, which would have taken a long time. So each of those 44 pieces, each seam needs to be reinforced. This puppet is going to be doing a lot of movements on stage and it needs to be transported safely. From the design process to the final realization of the props, the puppets, the costumes, it's been a really great process.
We have some incredible automation technology that we're using to bring elements of the set to life, almost like characters.
David does the initial drawings and then we sort of start to discuss how and what it needs to look like. As the ideas of the show become more fleshed out, we move to changing ideas into reality. I take his initial 2D renderings from Illustrator and import them into a 3D CAD software so that I can then start to work on the mechanism of that particular piece. So we're doing 36 laser etched flames, laser cut and laser etched flames with pixel mapped LEDs all through that. Taking a dead puppet's spin on building a fire on stage that allow it to sort of be this background element of a fire but then also become its own character and puppet throughout the storytelling. It's amazing to see all these small pieces that have evolved so much, but then when they all come together, add so much more.
For Dead Puppets, Holding Achilles is definitely the biggest thing that we have made to date. Audiences are going to be treated to a stunner of a story, an incredible staging, and 32 original pieces of music that flow together in this just blissful arc through the story, featuring Montaigne singing these just exquisite vocals. It's the sort of work that as we're making it, I keep pinching myself that we are lucky enough to be able to build a world that is this full of imagination and beauty. It's the coming together not only of Dead Puppet Society and Legs on the Wall, but of some of the country's leading creatives to create this incredibly detailed, incredibly artful world.